Hello and welcome back to High Value Hustling with Aidan and James, and welcome to episode 5, where today we'll be talking about our personal why.
And also about the why that we want to do of this podcast, why we wanted to start it, what got us into the idea of even starting a podcast, and what was not sort of necessarily like the chain of thought, but like what was gonna be our guiding post, like because what was that called? Like the star above baby Jesus, right? What's gonna like when we are writing the episodes, when we are talking to our friends about it, what will one get us excited, keep us excited, stop us from focusing on what is not important, and being able to do like a mission, like we establish our mission for our podcasts. So like I would definitely say like the mission and purpose of our podcast. I mean, okay, like the purpose is to be a vessel of information for individuals that are seeking self development, right? Whether you know what you want to get developed in, and some of the episodes we're talking about is highlighting that, or maybe you don't know what you want to talk about, like you don't know what you need to work on at all, and or maybe you already know what we're talking about, and our perspectives are going to be different from yours, and our experiences and the things we've learned. Because I mean, at the end of the day, dude, like 40 hours of audio and video gets uploaded every hour. It's literally impossible for every human to, well, an individual human to completely understand everything that is published in this world. So maybe you guys have like already listened to like 500 books. And you're like, bro, we know everything. And we're like, we have this one book that we read that you guys haven't read. And it's like, wow, that's intelligent. That's useful information, right? So I would definitely say it's like the purpose. But like my mission, I just said over and over again to James, was actually something that you said about when you were thinking about doing drop shipping. So what was that thing that you said when you were doing drop shipping?
It says, with drop shipping, my mindset was I don't care how much money I make or lose. Well, I guess lose would be important, but my intent was not to make money. My intent was to learn as much as possible throughout the process of doing it.
And when you told me that, I was floored because like for me, I was like, oh, I have to save myself. I have to protect myself. I have to do this. But for you, like, I mean, losing money is bad, yes. But you were willing to put a small investment into it of like, let's say, upwards of $2,000, right? And be willing to lose all of that and still walk away happy because you would have learned something, right?
Yes.
And so like the mission with this is like we have a very small investment in this. Like we got one mic. We're using his computer to do a free podcast on Anchor, and that is going to record and upload it for us. Like our goal isn't to make money from this, and our goal isn't to be like so good. Like we're like, oh, we're going to start great, and the expectation is to be amazing, right? Like we aren't here for the popularity. I'm not here for the money, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to highlight that again. We went into this podcast with the same mindset as like the drop shipping example, where we really just enjoy, like we enjoy talking to coworkers and empowering or influencing them to make better decisions, talk about their life, how they can improve it, what are they doing in their day-to-day life. And it makes us really happy to do that. And so part of doing this podcast is to simply just share that with others. We're not doing it for money. We're not doing it for popularity. Those would be great things, to happen, but we simply want the best for our listeners and for them to be the best versions of themselves that they can be.
and like something that I said to James very consistently at the beginning, because when we did our initial research, James was like, bro, we can monetize, we can get merch, we can do a what was a Patreon, we can do all this and make. And he was thinking about a business, and I was like, bro, this like for me, this is not a business. This is like, in my perspective, like giving back to the community, right?
Yeah.
Like I have no expectation of return. I'm doing personal like time investments and small money investments in order for us to achieve this thing. But for me, it's not about what I could get from it, but it's what I really hope about what people who are listening to this can get from it, you know? So something I said to James very consistently was like, these are things that I want to talk about that I wish if I went back in time, because I'm a 21-year-old right now, if I went back in time to my 17-year-old self, because he thought he knew everything. He said, I know. He said, you guys don't understand. He said, you guys like I'm gonna go do these things or whatever. I want to sit down that man as a boy, as a 21-year-old man now, slap him in the face and be like, yo, you don't know what you're talking about. These are the things that you're going to go learn in your future. And this podcast is going to talk about everything that you will need. You can choose to ignore this. You can choose to go do this other thing in the future, right? And I'm not saying this is everything that you need. This is like the length of these podcasts are designed to be able to be something that you can listen to and from in one day of work. Because like the average driving distance for work is 10 to 15 minutes for most people. All right, I mean, let's just say 20. So we can guarantee that in one podcast, you'll be able to listen to one podcast in the distance to and then from work. That's what we wanted from it, and that's what I really wanted from it, and that sort of translated into James because he first got very excited, a little overzealous, and he lost sight of what the purpose was, right? And then I told him what he told me when he was thinking about the drop shipping thing, and he was like, "Wow!" Like his eyes opened just as much as when he told me the same thing, and I was like, "This is really cool." It's like our dream of the podcast, like ultimate dream. I mean, maybe this does get some traction. I mean, if this sits here forever and does nothing ever, what do we still have? We still learn experience,
Absolutely. Yeah.
100%. If this gets decent amount of views, then sweet. Okay, like whatever money I want to make from this, I'm going to put right back into it.
Yeah. And we're not against making money or anything. We simply want our number one goal for this podcast is to make all the listeners take something from it. This isn't an entertainment thing. This is for you guys to find value from. And yes, in the future we might have a Patreon or something. And totally, we like that. But
Yeah, we'll
to
grow,
start, we are so involved with wanting to see you guys grow and get better. So that was our main thing. Yeah. So let's transition and talking about our dreams for I guess our personal growth from our ages right now. I can remind you guys I am 19. I'm a sophomore in college, and my dream since I was young, actually, my very first job my very first dream job was to work at a gas station so that I could eat all the candy.
For real? How old were you?
Probably 7 to 10 around that age.
Okay.
And ironically, well, no, that's funny. Yes. So
the candy? Gas station candy ain't even that good, bro.
Well, I know, but because whenever you go in, you like just like a checkout kind of thing. It's just right there. I'm like, yeah. But that's not how business works, and that wouldn't have worked out anyways. But anyways, yeah. As I've gotten older, I've found myself craving, like to really lead and be in charge of a business independently. I really find it excites me when I can picture myself not having to clock out when someone tells me to, or not having to clock in when someone tells me to. I can say, I will work very hard. And I know a lot of business owners end up putting in a lot more effort and time into their own business than they would at any place that they are on salary for or whatnot. But they would be much happier to do so than to build someone else's dream. So my dream, I don't know what age it started, but it's just been I want to be a business owner. I want to grow a business, and I just find a lot of excitement in that. So a couple of my current goals right now for the future is I just want to learn. This is my learning stage. I know like too many guys my age, like ages from 18 to 24, that are like, I want to make money and money fast. And that's not a bad desire to have, but they go about it in ways that aren't going to give them that chance to make money fast.
Yeah, like a tree that grows quickly with no roots will not stand no storm.
Beautiful. Right. Yes.
If you were to go very quickly build a business and have a lot of debt leverage against you, and the storm comes, like the stock market crashes, or a literal storm comes and knocks over your buildings, you're screwed, But if you learn what you're doing, you get wise about it, and then you like figure out ways to protect yourself and steps to avoid, or even how to grow faster and healthier ways, you can be better than that,
Absolutely. And so that's both of our main desires right now is to learn and to grow and to just retain all this knowledge and information so that when we are a couple years down, or even who knows what time we'll be ready for a bigger step. And we would definitely jump into a business and learn what we can. I mean, on a smaller scale for sure. What would you like to
Yeah.
say? Yeah.
So, like James just said too, it's not that like we are here to learn, right? And it's not that we don't. Okay, it's not that some people will teach us and some people won't. Every situation, every
Yeah.
conversation, every like body language I'm getting from somebody, I am just trying to intake and learn from. Like I have a very long like list of concepts that are in my phone that I just the last 5 months since August I've been writing this down. So I guess it's only 4 months. I've been writing down a list of concepts about like human theology, business, emotional intelligence, just like so many things that people don't understand or talk about that I feel like people have gaps in, and that's what led me to want to talk about this podcast or start a podcast because like these things that I'm making myself aware of, other people aren't, and like we're still both human. We still both get upset at stuff. We still both get emotional, but we know every single day we will learn something new
Yeah.
that will greatly impact our tomorrow. Like if you, I mean, you're like, well, I don't really have a lot in my circle. Like Rob worked at the same restaurant at same Chick-fil-A 7 years. Nothing shocks me. Nothing. But I still learn something new every single day about a restaurant I've been doing for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
I know why there's every single screw hole in the freaking wall, and I still learn something new every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
Absolutely.
And that comes from a state of being hungry, humble, and smart. If you can't be hungry, if you think you know everything, sweet dude, knock yourself out. You're gonna get smacked in the face one day. But you have to be hungry to continue to learn and desire, and then but you have to be humble with that hunger to be able to hear what other people are saying to you. Because if you feel like, bro, I'm hungry to learn, but I feel like what you're saying is not what I need, dude, reality check yourself. Anybody can tell anybody things. You can learn something from it, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to be smart, right? Like, okay, like something that goes through all of that. So a very wise lesson I learned from a leader who worked at my store was if you hear the same feedback from more than one person, then you know that it's something you need to work on. Now, if I hear feedback for the first time that I haven't heard from somebody, like if someone was like, hey, I feel like you were very distracted. I'm like, okay, sweet. I'm gonna take this first initial feedback with a grain of salt. Now let's say I ask somebody else for feedback on that shift. And they were like, hey, I feel like you're distracted. I'm like, okay, now I'm interested. I have two different perspectives, so I know it's not one-sided, unless they're really good friends or whatever, but that's very rare, right? And then so I have two different perspectives. I have two different reasons whys, and that will help me narrow down, just like an X and Y grid, to figure out where I can improve myself. But I didn't dismiss it like, I just was today or whatever. No, dude, like you can learn something every day. So anyway, going back to your dream. Oh, when you said you were a kid and you wanted to own a gas station to eat all the candy, when I was a kid, I wanted to be the first man on Mars.
First man.
And I wanted to achieve it by going into the military when I was 22 for some reason with a specific degree in aerospace technology, and then I was going to be in the military for 15 years to 2 decades, specifically around aerospace and or even something of that degree.
Yeah.
And be in a physically fit state that I could be transported to Mars and be the first man on Mars. I now realize I could not do that because I'm a very big extrovert. So I would need music and people, dude.
That would be very difficult knowing you, for sure. Yeah, and that's funny with like the whole thing with Elon Musk saying we're gonna have cities up there soon and all this thing.
I don't think so, man.
I would not be interested myself. Okay, sweet. Yeah. So as you've heard, owning a business since I was young was one of my still is a very big desire. Along with that, I have a couple other things. I love to travel, love it. But I understand at this stage, although I am able to, every couple months save up a little bit, go on a trip. I'd rather use these years now, like specifically. I do want to travel like before I get married a little bit, and then maybe during marriage with my spouse, but especially during like my 19 and 20, maybe 21, these 3 years, building like just like the last episode of with the framework for your future. These 3 years are important for me to be building just my foundation of just knowledge and learning, and then after maybe I have a small business or so, then we can do more traveling from there. But traveling is definitely one of my bigger goals as well. Specifically, I don't know, like the countries that are not very as common. It's like Thailand. I don't know why. I don't know much about it. It just always interested me.
Oh, my sister wants to be a missionary to Thailand.
Yeah. So it's just yeah, just different places excite me a lot. And then this is probably a big one for a lot of people, but I just want to very financially support my family in a way that my wife can have the option to work, but I don't want her to feel
Your future personal
pressure.
family, not your like parents and siblings and such.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, my personal family in the future. I would love for my wife to easily to be comfortable by saying, I know I don't have to work, but I want to anyways because it makes me feel fulfilled in some way.
Mhm.
Or I would rather raise the kids full time and do this. I want
I
her to
feel
have that.
safe knowing that you are capable of getting my back in that regard.
Absolutely. So those are a couple of my goals, my dreams. What about you, sir?
I would definitely say so. My goals and my dreams have changed a lot. Like my friends that are around me that are close are always like, bro, like you have a new idea every 2 weeks or like nothing really sticks. And I would agree. Like what I've been doing and thinking about for the last like 3 years, because something I realized when I was working at my Chick-fil-A specifically, I was dissatisfied because I was like, bro, I'm giving you like 80% of what I got in a day.
Mm.
And I feel like I'm only taking home 3%. Because like I'm the kind of guy
Yeah.
when I am doing something and I learn something from it, I'm like, dude, I feel so excited. I'm charged. I want to give more, right? That momentum powers my investment, right? Or my interest, I guess. But like when I went on grand openings, I opened brand new Chick-fil-A's with like a high value like team and like very big like days like sales wise. It was like super exciting. I gave like 120%. I was cracked out on caffeine and ibuprofen, dude. I was untouchable. Dear God, man. And I would go to bed every single night smiling because I was mentally and physically exhausted from working a 16-hour shift, knowing I had to wake up in 6 hours and go do it all over again. Like that drove me. And I was like, I don't feel that at home, at my home store. I'm good. I'm like, wow. But then I realized that I don't need to seek like I had already grown myself into the leader that I felt like I needed to be. Now, they're definitely it's very important for you to have a mentor. And at
Mm.
the
Yeah.
busyness of our store level / turnover that fast food restaurants are, you don't really get that one-on-one investment unless you have a really, really good leader in that regard. So I was lucky enough to have leaders around me that were like, hey, you need improvement in this. But then I had to go find my own improvement. Like when I walk in the store, like I wake up at 5, I go to the gym, I go to the gym at 6, I get out by 8, I go home, I listen to 2 hours of an audiobook or podcast or movies or whatever is teaching me videos, and then I go to work smiling with a cup of coffee in my hand. And they're like, "Did you drink the cup of coffee?" I'm like, "No, I haven't even touched it yet. I already made it, but I had pre-workout at 5 a.m." And they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yes, I just listened to this audiobook that is freaking lit, dude. And I learned so much about like um, body language." And they're like, why is that important? I was like, because I am not an emotional individual as a man and as a high, I'm very much a numbers guy. So I'm not a very emotional individual. But I was
Yes.
like, I can now read visually your audio cue, your unconscious cues to help me understand how you are feeling more. And that helps me be a better leader. And they're like, good for you, man. And I'm like, y'all don't understand what I can do right now.
And this is Aiden every day. This is him very consistently. This information, like just this desire to learn information, take it and apply it to his life is exciting, as it should be, as it really should be. And so you just heard him like go into that thing of like speaking fast and like loving it. He was like smiling as he was talking about that. That's him every day, which is just super cool.
Yeah, very consistent. Um, but the thing that I really like about that too is what I just said. Nobody is teaching me anything. I'm teaching myself stuff. But I love that too because I was homeschooled most of my life. And everyone's like, "Oh, how'd your mom teach you? Like, was she a good teacher? Whatever." Ha ha ha. I was like, "My mom didn't teach me anything." I was like,
Heard.
okay, my parents didn't teach me stuff, right? From a school perspective, I probably learned 90% of everything on my own
Yes.
because I am the kind of person that seeks individual. I didn't click this together until like 3 weeks ago. I was like, oh, this is what I've been doing. This is what I need to be doing. So my current dream and goal, trying going from the tangent, is I want to be a real estate agent
Mhm.
that will hold, okay, obviously you'll know how to do the game and buy and sell and do all the fancy stuff in between or whatever. But that's just the enter. That's just the gates for me. I want to be able to be so big in land and private property and property investments, which would be around holding, flipping, and wholesaling, or which would be backed by a cash flow of sales, selling and buying homes for people. So, like right now, I know the Chick-fil-A game. I'm sitting not sort of stagnant because I'm still adding value, which is important, but I'm also focusing on, okay, this doesn't take a lot of like time or energy for me, so I can put that to the side and I'm going to go learn how to get my real estate license. Okay, sweet. I got my real estate license. Now I'm going to go learn how to be a realtor. Okay, now I'm learning how to be a realtor. Okay, sweet. Let me make enough money that I can consistently, that I'm capable of not working at Chick-fil-A anymore. Okay, now I can spend more time investment into it. Okay, let me master the game. Okay, I mastered the game. Side quest, buy houses. Okay, let's say 10 to 15 years from now, I own 5, 7, 9, 10 houses
Yeah.
that are on their way of being paid off.
Mm.
And the goal is that they all pay themselves off and I am my own bank.
Yes.
That's my goal. My goal is to make enough residual, not passive. Everybody talks about passive income. Screw that. The reason why I want specifically residual income is because residual income is not going into my pocket, it is going into progressing and furthering the business, paying off houses, saving for future investments, or doing investments inside of investments that you have, like updates or renos or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, and a big thing too that you could probably hear similar with Aiden and I is um, we work extremely hard. That an hourly pay, it just doesn't it doesn't make sense for us because no matter how hard we work, we get paid the same amount, and we just so badly want to be rewarded for the hard work we're doing. Not saying that we aren't. It's just saying we see the potential that we have and we want to get there.
I would say that it's probably better put in this expectation. So in this example, there's basically two different ways to make money. You make money by working an hour and trading an hour for an hour worth of pay,
Okay.
or you make money by having a skill that you can. I mean, at
Yes.
first, selling houses, I'm gonna be like working 80 hours a week selling houses.
Yes.
I'm not gonna make any money for like the first 6 months. I don't care. I don't care if I sell a house for the first 2 years. I can still work at Chick-fil-A and get what I need, right? I will still make it by. But the moment I get that sell. I'm like, oh, confidence booster, information booster. I know what I'm doing now, sort of, and then more and more and more. And then eventually I'm like, hey, I know this person. You want to buy this house? Sweet. I'm making 15 transactions a month. But that's 5, 10 years away, right? And so I'm not going to get that tomorrow. That's 5 to 10 years away. But 5 to 10 years away, working at Chick-fil-A is like what, $30 an hour max?
Yeah.
My life.
Very
I'm making
true.
21 already,
Mhm.
But I mean, 5, 10 closings a month for being a real estate agent, that's $250,000 a year,
Dude,
you know?
tell me more.
I mean, that's pretty much it. But it's like, I don't want to work an hour for an hour anymore. And it's not that we don't feel like we're valued like that, because that's our state and time that we need,
Correct.
But like James said earlier too, he's like, I want to experience things and I want to do things, but I'm more focused on what I can do in the future. Okay, like a lot of people will trade
Yeah.
their last 30 years on this earth for their first 10 years of freedom, right? And I don't want to do that. I want to trade my first 10 years of freedom on this earth as a 18-year-old on individual, or even 16, right? I feel like 16 to 26 is grind time for a lot of
Yes,
people.
it really is.
So I mean, let's say that most people are what? They're having kids, they're trying out alcohol, drugs, they're going out like partying, they're going around the money, like around the world spending money, they're going to school that they don't know what they want yet, right?
Yeah.
And that's trading their first 10 years, because you're eventually going to realize, oh, I need to start actually figuring this out because I'm 35 at this point or whatever, or 26. Like, let me figure this out. But I'm trying to figure this out at 21. So let's say I do figure it out at 31. Like, I'm, as a person who wants to do real estate, I'm talking to people who are in their mid 40s, mid 50s, and that are like, yeah, I started this 10 years ago, and this is where I'm at now. I'm like, sweet, where you're at now is where I want to be in 10 years, but as a 31-year-old. Okay.
And you say that to their face every time, right?
I just look straight at the mic. So yes.
No, he does not say that.
To their face? No, I've
Of
only
course.
called them so far. But it's just like we want to trade our 10 years because like our goal isn't to retire like everybody else. I don't plan on my 401k. I
Yeah.
don't plan
Correct.
on Social Security. I don't plan on my Roth IRA. I want to make my own bank out of
Yes.
my business of buying and holding real estate investments personally or selling to people too, whatever floats your boat, and being able to manage my time and my money and my space, right? Like I want to be able to be in a place where I don't need to work like an actual day in my life, like past 50, and I can enjoy most of my life then. I'm still going to work because I'm that kind of guy.
Yeah, you're gonna find other ventures that are gonna interest you.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
gonna do that, but you're not gonna have to feel the pressure of trying to make money from it.
Mhm.
It's more gonna be a fun thing. Oh, what is it? I think Jeff Bezos says he loses so many millions a year of just trying new things,
Mhm.
just because he believes in the power of just trying things.
Well, I mean, if you think about it too, if he was to like try millions and he's holding billions,
Right.
to him that's nothing.
It's
That's
nothing. It
that's
really.
pennies on pennies on pennies on the dollar.
Yes.
For him. But like the reason why he's dumping millions into it is because one of those is going to hit and you're eventually going to do it. Like I might not sell a house for the first 2 years when I get my real estate license. But when that one hits, dude, I'm going to call everybody and their mom. I'm going to go on a 10-mile run and I'm just going to be like cracked out on wings and like whatever I can find.
I'll buy your first house from you. How about that?
You won't.
Within your first day as a real estate agent, you sold your first house.
No,
To
I'm
me,
gonna be a real estate agent in like 4 months, bro.
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So yeah, I hope you guys really got a good understanding of like the why, the mission and purpose of like this podcast, our why, right? Our individual whys as to like what James and I want to do. Like, I mean, we're both very business minded people, but we're also both very different.
Mhm.
And that like I couldn't do this podcast without James, and James couldn't do this podcast without me. We're totally not holding hands, but but yeah. So I just want to thank you guys for listening. This is more of like a heart to heart episode. Like it was a really, really like not thought out episode because it was just like, hey, I just want people to know more about us. Like think about this as a movie character development.
Yeah. So thank you guys for listening. Appreciate you. If you want to hit us up with any questions, any thoughts, what are your goals?
Future topics.
Yeah, we love future topic ideas. All right. You can email us at highvaluehustling@gmail.com. Just all one word. Thank you guys for tuning in. All right. Have a good one.